Up until the day he disappears, he never missed a date night. I thought we had the perfect marriage. I would learn later on that I was living with two different people.
He turned off all the utilities.
It was just here today and gone tomorrow.
He had those attics, he had locks on them.
I didn't feel like it was going to work from the beginning.
And the attorney in charge of the mediation, her exact words were, "This is untraceable money." I didn't understand why he would have untraceable phones. He has multiple addresses. Now I'm realizing I never really saw what went on the whole time. It was worse than I thought. But nobody understood. He didn't just abandon me.
This man who promised to protect and love us forever, he abandoned 7 of us. He left my children to pick up the broken pieces. I didn't have a home. He left me homeless. And when I went for help, the authority that promised to protect me, they also beat me up.
When she had that ad litem, they wouldn't even let her speak.
I mean, how do I tell my friends I have a guardian ad litem?
She would go to court in the United States and couldn't even speak for herself.
Ms. Holyfield being declared mentally incompetent without going before the judge herself. There was someone who didn't want to hear what Ms. Holyfield had to say.
Something in this town that stinks.
I'm seeking justice, not for vengeance, because I could care less about going after an ex-husband. I want my life back.
I could never say enough of good about Rhnea. She always saw the best in everybody.
She learned to play the piano. She was about 12 years old. She was my right arm in the ministry.
It's just her personality.
She was a perfect wife.
Very strong, very stable.
She loved family. She loved family.
Just powerful keyboard player.
She thought everybody was what they said they were.
Just Rhnea, very.
And when she married, I really missed her. I didn't feel like it was going to work from the beginning. I tried to talk her out of it.
When she met him, he was a pastor.
He would have presented the very image that you were looking for by outward appearance.
To me, he was like two different people.
He was good on one side and sneaky and bad on the other.
I said, Rhnea, you better get away from him.
Her 2 daughters loved him with all their heart. He got hired at jets.
He started flying with jets and he started changing.
That's not the that I know. That's not that I'm used to seeing.
Rhnea chose to believe the best.
And she missed a lot of signals.
And when I saw her just totally crying and broken, I knew something very devastating happened to her.
It was 2008 that he left, and he was gone for 6 weeks. Came home April 2009. He left for good this last time.
She said, left me.
He turned off all the utilities.
As far as she knew and could understand, they had a wonderful relationship.
He had those attics, he had locks on them. Rhnea did get in the attic and the briefcase after briefcase after briefcase. Phones, he had several different phones.
This is the first divorce we ever had in our family. I didn't know nothing about it. That first lawyer charged her $25,000, sent her to a quack for an interview and tried to make her look crazy.
She would go to court in the United States and couldn't even speak for herself because of what the lawyer had done.
When she had that ad litem, they wouldn't even let her speak.
The ad litem came up just so that she could not speak in court and tell all the details about Rick. Plus she had all the documents that the lawyers wouldn't listen to.
She wasn't even in the meeting when they assigned the ad litem.
That my grandfather fought for a country that you can't even defend yourself in.
The psychiatrist He told me, he said, what they've got on her, if she makes one move they don't like, they can put her in the asylum.
And she would come back from going to court and she would just be shaking all over because she was being attacked.
I don't care what it was that she went in for, everything ruled against her. Something in this town that stinks.
They didn't have to get out a sword and a gun and shoot her or stab her. They did it by causing her not to be able to defend herself.
I'm a licensed professional counselor. I have a master's degree in counseling. This is my 40th year as a counselor. I met with Rhnea June 19th and 20th of this year. Ms. Holyfield brought 2 reports to me. One of them was from a Dr. Joe Hillman from Starkville, Mississippi, who is a psychiatrist. This was, his evaluation was done on October the 7th in 2010, and his evaluation was congruent with mine. He did not find any kind of abnormalities in Miss Holyfield's personality. I have a copy of the mental status exam. He did not go into in-depth testing because in talking with her, he did not see any indicators of any abnormalities at all. And the other one was the one that was given to me by Ms. Holyfield from Dr. Kathleen Ronan, who is a clinical and forensic psychologist. Her report reflected that Ms. Holyfield had some disturbing psychiatric disorders. She used words such as psychotic, mood disorders, but in her report, there are several ways in which you can reflect a diagnosis. And a couple of the phrases in the DSM-4, which is the Bible, so to speak, that psychologists use, they have say like psychotic disorder not otherwise specified. That means it's like trying to nail jello to the wall with a nail and a hammer. You may suspect some tendencies there, but you can't prove it. And so when I looked at Dr. Ronan's report, I wondered myself professionally why she did not administer the MMPI-2, which would readily identify some of the disorders that she identified in her report, such as psychotic disorders, somatoform or concern about bodily functions, paranoid delusional, and schizophrenia.
From your evaluation, would you at all find that she was anywhere near incompetent to stand trial or incompetent to even take care of herself at all?
No, I was so confident in her ability to manage her own affairs that I instructed her to get that removed just as rapidly as possible, and then to seek counsel to rectify whatever misjustice that may have been caused by this decision. Well, one of the things that I've had the joy of doing is, in addition to being a counselor, I've also been a college professor for over 35 years. And one of the courses that I taught in psychology was abnormal psychology. I taught that sometimes 3 semesters or 2 semesters in summer school. And so having taught that course for a number of years, I think I would readily recognize those characteristics that Dr. Ronan described in her report. And I did not see any of that in Ms. Holyfield's interview.
The stress that Rhnea went through, I could never tell you in words. The tears, the heartache, the shaking.
It just left her emotionally devastated.
And she gave him almost 17 years of her life.
Daddies do like to fix things.
She could not believe that he didn't love her. She could not believe the other side of it.
It was just here today and gone tomorrow.
Rhnea wants justice.
When proposed to me, it was dramatic. I'm thinking I married a Richard Gere. We got married at the church he built. He brought me in and announced me as co-pastor. It was a great first year, in my opinion. Up until the day he disappears, he never missed a date night. I thought we had a great life. I thought we had the perfect marriage. I searched Tuscaloosa. Every day of my life became consumed finding him. I believed he had a nervous breakdown. I am learning now he had premeditated the first abandonment. It was all planned out. Why did you disappear? It will never happen again. 6 months later, it happened again. This time he leaves in April 2009, and once again, he doesn't come back. This time before he left, he gets up at midnight. He goes to Walmart and he goes and he buys padlocks for our attic. He spent time to do that around the midnight hour when he's got to get up at 4 o'clock and fly for nuts. I asked somebody to help me cut down the locks, and that's when I started going through things that I would see for the first time of my life, in our married life, that I was going to find that I was living with 2 different people. I'm thinking we have 2 bank accounts. I find banks in so many states. He was renting cars while home. I didn't understand why he would have untraceable phones. He has multiple addresses. He has more P.O. boxes than one man could possibly keep up with in different states. I never saw this before. What I saw was blowing my mind away. I'm seeing where he even manipulated his own company. On the dates he was telling me he was flying, he would be flying for other companies. Now I'm seeing he rearranged his name. He's using different middle initials. That's not normal. Okay, all this is what I was finding, yet I'm not supposed to be emotional about it. I'm calling the police one time while he's trying to break into my home. He's banging on the door at midnight to come back home. They advised me to leave the house, not to stay there for the night. And he's telling me to get off the computer. He said, "I know what you're up to." Somehow he knew I was going through his financial files. The attorney in charge of the mediation, she herself is going through bank transfers. Her exact words were, "This is untraceable money." What the blank is this about? This money is untraceable. Not one attorney gave an answer. When I sought out an attorney for help, I thought when you hire somebody, they work for you. He filed something to the judge that I need a guardian ad litem. Me, on record in Tuscaloosa, pastor's wife of over 1,000 people, a reputation, a businesswoman in this town. I mean, how do I tell my friends I have a guardian ad litem?
In the assignment of a guardian ad litem, that means a person is incapable of making decisions on her own, and that person, the guardian ad litem, must be consulted on decision-making process. One of the things that, as a counselor, that I look at, if guardian ad litem, is if she had both the test of Dr. Coleman and Dr. Ronan, is if she's going to be a guardian ad litem, I would think that she would try to get to the bottom of this, because if I'm going to take my professional responsibility seriously, I've got 2 conflicting reports here. One says this person can't function, and another one says this person can function very well at a high level. They say that down the hill there's something rotten in Denmark. It don't add up.
He tried to seek out 2 psychiatrists to do a report. I'm here because my attorney said I needed to come. I didn't know she was writing a mental report. When we go into court in August of 2010, he presents to the judge this 24-page mental illness report suggesting that I needed to be placed in a mental institution. The judge agrees. So I was referred to go to Dr. Burlbest. He said, go home. Go back home, go to the courthouse. The first thing I want you to do is go see if you can find where there was ever a hearing, where you sat down, they gave you a hearing, and you met the judge. I went to the Tuscaloosa County Courthouse. There was never a hearing for me. I want my life back. To this day, my identity is stolen. I can't rent an apartment. I'm homeless now. I have no home. That's the playroom I put together right there. It was just loaded with toys and bookshelves.
This is a very, very dangerous situation.
When I was in the tornado on April 27th, and I had that given up mentality of just whatever will be, push it under the rug. There's nothing I can do. I was exhausted, I was defeated, I was lifeless, but I was going to go on the best I could. But then I was in this F5 tornado, and while the tornado is nearing the area and I'm not realizing how fast it's coming on, I'm standing in the hallway of this house in Glendale Gardens, and the family I'm with is in the closet, and they made a scream. My friend, she's English, she's polite and manly, she's just so gracious, but when she yelled my name, it startled me, and I jumped into the closet, and when I jumped into the closet, that F5 tornado came right through the house. I made it by 30 seconds. Well, during that, what seemed like forever, my mind, it was almost like a vision, because it seemed slow to me. I heard the children screaming in the closet. I was holding on to Sarah's wrist. I thought I was breaking it, but the wind was blowing her away. The tornado was trying to grab her and take her away, and I was holding on to her, and my back was pressing onto the little ones. I'm right in the middle of this. I could see the debris and everything swirling. I could hear the jet engine sound. So I already did not expect to live through it, but I was fighting to live. So when it's over and I go through all this, and we're trying to get out of the closet, and we're starting to step over debris, live wires, and I can smell gasoline, I smell fresh timber and all that, even in the midst of the rubble and the chaos and the dead bodies. And I realized right then that I was alive for a reason. And then my fighting spirit came back on. How did this happen in America? I want my life back. I'm Rhnea Holyfield, that's who I am. I know who I am. I'm a singer-songwriter, a talented musician. I'm a good mother. Nobody's going to tell me I'm not. I want my respect back. I want apologies. They defamed my name. They raped my character. They took away my life. They stole my properties. I'm seeking justice, not for vengeance. We're fighting for a new day in court. I'm going to fight and push for a new law and go for justice.